talking about. The deal before this one was the guy was an older guy. He was a retired cab driver. He was a retired cab driver, and what he did was oak trees, which I don't know anything about wood and red oak and this, that, whatever. He cut trees, and he took the tree bark and he glazed the tree barks, and he would make clocks out of them. And each clock, instead of it being a number, he would put a family member's picture. So, if it was at 12 o'clock, if the hand was pointing on grandma's picture, it was 12 o'clock. If it was Aunt Susie, it was horrible, but it was creative. It was creative. I got to give him that. It was creative. But I would never hang that thing in my house. I would, maybe I would lay it down and let the dogs run over top of it. But to him, it was a work of art. And that's what I targeted. As soon as I walked in the house, I started looking around and saying, I see all this wood on the floor. Then I start seeing, going down the hall, all these clocks, how many clocks do you need? And I zeroed and toned in on that and started talking about something that I knew interests the homeowner. I'm in his house. I'm a guest. I'm getting ready to start negotiating. Why start on a bad foot? Start on in the best position you possibly can. So I'm going to talk about something that interests in something that the homeowner likes, whether it's sentimental, it's something, an article in the house, the neighborhood, even if it's his car. If I get there and everybody's car is dirty and his is the cleanest thing, I'm going to talk about how nice that car is. But the object is, and that comes from negotiating. That's part of the negotiating. You gotta get in. I don't know anybody who has or can successfully negotiate with somebody that I just finished arguing with. Husband and wives, the perfect example. Do you see them negotiating? They cuss each other out, then 5 minutes later they negotiate? No, he's gone or she went upstairs, he's sleeping on the couch. Negotiations didn't start until they simmer down. So you can't walk into somebody's house and get on their bad side and then try to negotiate with them. So negotiations, I would say, are at least 90% of this business, or 80% of this business negotiation. Knowledge is 10%, just knowing the neighborhood, and the other 10% is just luck. But
so this is interesting. So in talking about the style of negotiation, you have a very laid back way about you in general.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
And you just closed the deal, which, do you mind saying how much you think you'll end up making on this deal?
I'll probably make $15,000 on the deal.
Okay, so you'll probably make
wholesale. That's wholesaling.
Wholesale, right? Okay, so for this particular wholesale deal, you'll probably make about $15,000. You didn't use an agent.
No.
You don't use agents for the kind of deals you're doing right
now.
Right. And is in creating that.
But you can use an agent though. But go ahead.
Yeah, you can. We'll talk about that. But that's another segment.
Yeah, it is. You can use an agent. They can help you. They can be very, 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 very helpful.
But what I'm getting at is you're just wearing some jeans.
I went just like this.
Right. So is there something to just that? Does that make you, for you, is that a more relatable thing? Do you think if you had showed up in a suit and a tie, looking like an agent or looking like a lawyer or looking like a rich investor that you are, that would have changed the...
Well, I think a person should, yes and no, but I think you should go as you. Be comfortable in your shoes, whatever they may be. If you're the kind of guy who always, you're casual where you go, then be casual, be comfortable, because you're negotiating. Don't put one more thing on your plate. You're sitting there and you got this tie on that you never wear, and your throat, you're choking, and you're sitting there trying to swipe the sweat off your face. You're uncomfortable. Go where you're comfortable. Be comfortable. Go in your comfort zone. This is my comfort zone, and it'll show, because I'm there and I'm always at ease. I think this is the most presentable way to go. I mean, I think you can overdress a little, and you may not want to. I'm looking at, as wholesaling, you're looking at secondary properties that need to be rehabbed, fixed up. So to go in your knickerbockers and you're walking in this debris, and a lot of these houses some of them are kind of trashy. So you want to dress according. It's like going to a construction site. You don't wear your suit. You know, you want to dress for the occasion. But go wear what you're comfortable with. Go in your zone, in your boots, whatever your shoes, whatever you wear every day. Go there, because that's one less obstacle that you're going to be trying to overcome while you're negotiating with the person at the table. And it'll show. You know, you're out of your character. It'll show like anything else. You sit at somebody's table. Eventually, you know, unless you're just a con man, eventually your true colors are going to come out. You know, so go as you. You know, that's my answer for that. Stay in your comfort zone.
Stay in your comfort zone. All right, I like that. So you get thrown out of somebody's house.
Ask to kindly leave, or you know, I've got one guy who grabbed me by the arm. You know, I'm sitting in his living room table, and this is in the very beginning. This is in the very beginning, before I knew what to say. When I was a over anxious, what is the word? Over anxious, eager, a little too bold. Say what I want to say out of my mouth. You know, thought that was, you know, you go in and you almost twist the homeowner's arm, and this is what I'm going to pay. And your house is only worth this, and it doesn't matter what the house, the neighbor's house, or all these lots. I'm telling you, I don't care about what the tax records say or what the county said your house is worth. Your house is only worth this. You know, twisting their arm. That don't work. You'd be out of business real quick. I've had a guy, you know, physically grab me by my arm, and, you know, old guy too, you know, I'm trying to move with him because I didn't want him to hurt himself trying to grab me. He's so fragile, you know, old guy, man. I remember this guy, old guy, live in Washington, D.C., grabbed me, you know, had his cane, and he's trying to balance between McCain and me to stand up, you know, to push me out the house. So I'm literally working with him to let him throw me out the house so he doesn't fall down, you know. So it was kind of comical. He grabbed me. I'm like, maybe he's trying to ask me to leave. So I said, well, let me get up. And he grabbed my arm, so I throw my arm up for him so he look like he's doing something, you know. And it became comical. And I laughed, and I said to myself when I got out, I said, man, you know, I offended that guy. You know, this house was his family house. You know, he was going to get enough money and send his kids to college, and I'm down and all that. Like, I don't care about that. You know, this is what I'm going to offer you. And that wasn't the approach. The approach is negotiate with a person as for what it is, their most valuable asset, and be sentimental and talk to them with respect, as you would want somebody to speak to you.
So real estate investors often get a bad rap for being almost vultures. Right? They come in, they want to take your home, they don't want to give you nothing for your house, and they want you to get out as quickly as possible. Is that true? I mean, how do you say, well, you want $50,000, I'm only going to give you $15,000 for this house, or $5,000 for this house, and not be the bad guy?
Well, it has to make sense, like anything else. You know, it has to. Your numbers have to make sense. You can't just seem like you're pulling the numbers out of the sky. Said, I think I'll give you this. As if you're spilling some ball in your head and it landed on 15. It'll be 15. It has to make sense to the homeowner. And it may not register with them right then. So you'll need negotiating skills, / patience. You know, don't impatiently push yourself right out of the deal. Always leave the door open. As I said earlier, way back in the beginning of the interview, every open door, there's another one. You got to have an exit strategy. Always leave the door open to come back. Just kind of touching on that a little bit. The house the guy told you with the wood things, the clocks and the, he didn't sell me his house, but I can go back anytime I get ready. I call him every 30 days. This was back in, what is this? This is, what month is this? This is February. So I must have been at this guy's house right around Thanksgiving, I want to say. And every month I call him. So I know what's going on with his house every month because I left that door open. I left, you know, we negotiated, and I complimented him on everything and how much work he's done to this house. And he's done a really good job. But, you know, the market only bears so much, you know, it is what it is. It's property, but, you know, I know you got a lot of 10, 11 care into the property, and, you know, you've done a lot of things with it. But the market, again, only bears so much. And so where we are with the house, where he is, and the only reason I know this is because I kept the door open. I befriended him, so to speak. I know that wants to move to Clearwater, Florida with his girlfriend because his wife passed away, and now he finally got a girlfriend. She's a nurse, and the only reason he picked her because she was a nurse, and he got a little illness, and he needs her. So those are the conversations that we have. It's not just about give me your house or let's come on, hurry up, sign right here. That's not what it's about. That's not how you negotiate with people with their most valuable asset. But where this guy is today, he had his niece as the real estate agent. She got pregnant. She couldn't show the house. So all of his options are crumbling. So guess who, when he's finished with all of that, guess who's going to be at the end of the day? Who's going to be there? Me. And I know this. So right now he hired some agent that's in Reston, Virginia. This guy's in Washington, D.C. He hired some agency that's in another state. And they came over and just gave him analyzed what the property was worth. And it's even more than what he was asking for in the first place. So I know nobody's going to buy that house. And I know that a homeowner is going to come in there and turn their nose up to his ugly, shaggy red carpet that he had on the floor and those ugly clocks he got going across there. And they're going to walk in and they're going to hurt his feelings. He's retired, so him and his girlfriend, they just sit there, while you walking around the house. And he had this awful forgotten blue bathroom that in his mind, it was the best thing since sliced bread because he had just put water-saving toilets in there. Blue. And I just, guess what I did? I complimented him on it. I said, hey, you're saving money on the water bill. I never said anything about the color, but I just complimented him on how he's smart enough to put those toilets in to save money. We rehabbed the house and we're going to rip all that out. But I befriended him. To make a long story short, let me get to the point. I know where he is with the house each month. I know that he hired a real estate company out of state to represent him to sell the property. I know the house is tremendously, really, really overpriced. I know that unless, all of my research fails me, that house is going to be there. And when he gets to his boiling point, because he's ready to get out of Dodge and move to Florida, he already has a place in Florida, but he wants to sell this house so that he can send his nieces he wants to buy his niece a home. He wants to take the money from the profit from the property. The house is paid for, and he wants to take buy his niece a house and get out of town and get to Florida. So I know when his options run out, his patience run out. Guess who's going to be there at the end of the day? Me. All because of my negotiation with him, and me befriending him and talking to him like he's a person instead of, as you said earlier, real estate investors get this bad rap of almost like lawyers running behind ambulance, trying to get a case. And the majority of them do if they approach it that way. But you got to think a little bit outside of the box. You want to get to the same finish line like everyone else, be successful, but you don't necessarily have to follow their path. You can kind of be creative and create your own path a little, but the goal is to get to the same point, but get there a little bit different. I've learned by experience, being knocked down, that being a pushy real estate investor, that's not the greatest approach. You kind of may be viewed upon as the homeowner as just that. You're trying to take advantage of me. I'm not that smart with these documents and things like that. You just gotta talk to people. A perfect example, talk to them like they were your grandparents. When you're going into these people's houses, talk to them like they're your parents or somebody that you respect. And the conversation will go smooth all the time, no matter what their level of education is. Because when you have to learn to negotiate, meaning learn how to adapt to each person that you speak to, because you run into all types of personalities and educational levels. Some people talk, they speak well, they smarter than you. Some people, I don't know what half the stuff they're saying when I'm talking to them. And it comes down to being able to make them feel comfortable and want to deal with you and move forward with you. I think that carries a lot of weight when you're negotiating with a person. You don't overwhelm them. You don't make them feel intimidated. That's, again, 80% of this business is negotiation. learning how to negotiate. You just got to adapt to each person that you're speaking to. You know, educational level high, you get on their level. If it's low, you bring yourself down to make sure that they understand. Little trick I do with that as well is when a person, when I'm talking to a person, generally an elderly person who lived in the house for 60 years, you know, they're 80, 90 years old, and they're you know, their mind is a little gone. Educational level was never really there, being the time that they grew up. What I always do is let them know that we're going to go together with this transaction through the whole deal. And we'll do everything at their convenience. Like I'll set it up where the closing, when you purchase the house, instead of them having to get in the car and go across town, I'll have it done at their house. We'll do things like the contract that's signed. I'll make sure they understand it to the best of their ability. I'll follow up with my title company and have my title company attorney call them to assure them everything's going to be okay, that they're going to hold their hand and make sure this deal's going to go through smooth, and assure them at the end of the day, this is the money. As long as this transaction go through, I promised them, I said to them, you know, the bottom line, meaning I adapt, I'll say to them, at the end of the day, how much money do you want to make? Because they don't understand title work and title fees, and I owe the water company this money. They don't understand all that. All they understand is the bottom line. I want $50,000. I'll say, okay, at the end of the day, your check will be for $50,000. And I'll make sure that, of course, I'm not going to say that until I've already negotiated that in my head and I know that that number works for them. It's $50,000. So what I'll do is make sure the title company, I'll tell the title company representative to give them a call and let them know that as well. Back that up. At the end of the day, you're going to walk away with a check for $50,000. You know, I just kind of hold their hand. So negotiate. Got to get good at it.
I have a big problem with what you're saying, man. It's a lot of work. You know, I thought this was a get rich quick deal. You know, like.
I'm ready to switch back on my camera. The battery's good to go.
Oh, we're good. Let's finish this up real quick.
Okay.
This is supposed to be get rich quick, and you're saying a lot of this is I know, I research, I analyze, I canvass the neighborhoods, I walk the neighborhoods, I run my numbers, I talk to the title companies, I do the follow through. Like, how you follow up with the guy every 30 days? How do you do all that? How do you keep that all going and not drive yourself crazy in the process? It sounds like a whole lot of work.
Where do you want me to start? So, okay, listen. Get rich is playing the lottery if your numbers are right. You go put your buck on it. 8 o'clock tonight, they run the number. Your number's right, you're rich. I don't know anything that's faster than that in legal. The real estate is the total opposite of what I just described. There is no get rich unless you already know someone that's going to hand you the golden spoon like Donald Trump. There is no get rich overnight, over 30 days, over 60. I don't know that exists. If it does, I wish somebody would enlighten me and show me how to do that. Doing this business, if you're coming in this business because you're in a financial crunch, everything has fallen down, the lights are going to get turned off where you live, your rent's not paid, and you need a fast fix in the next 30 days, try your luck at the lottery. This is not it, because what you're doing is essentially leaving your full-time job to take on another full-time job, or working your full-time job to take on another full-time job, because that's what this is. It's a lot of work. It's not a big visual reward in the beginning. But if you stick with this, with like anything else, you get through all the bumps and the bruises, all the bugs, all the kinks, it will prevail. But that's where most people fail, because they don't succeed because they run into that wall. And when they got to that wall, they came to that wall with baggage, meaning they were financially upset for whatever reason, whatever the list could go on. They were behind the gun. You know, their Social Security check wasn't high enough. They want to send the kid to college, they want to move, and they turn to real estate. Well, the problem with that is a lot of people have done something else the majority of their life and worked hard at that, and then they come into real estate, and with this, they've been kind of misled, or so to speak, or they have the wrong outlook on it, that this is going to change their life overnight. This is easy. I don't need no money. I can do a little bit of work and the money will start rolling in. If that is what your vision is, look upon the sky, and if you see Superman flying across there, that's just about the same chance that you have. With this business, I believe if you get into it, I would shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll still be among the stars. That's a good way of putting it. But how long is it going to take you to get to the moon? You're not going to get there overnight. There's going to be more bumps and bruises than anticipated. There's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of work where there's no result, where you've done so much and at the end of the day, there's no payoff for it. For instance, passing out flyers, I don't know how many doors I went to before I got my first phone call, not my first deal, but just a phone call. And that phone call could be to cuss me out, tell me don't put this garbage on their door anymore. Or it could be to, I'm interested, now what do I do from here? Now that deal still itself not going to go anywhere because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning. So that's going to be the deal that I'm going to almost get, but I'm going to fall on my face. That's the logic of it. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to almost get it, but I really don't know what I'm doing. But what I'm going to get out of it is a little bit of knowledge so that when I'm presented with that position again, I'll know how to get over that hurdle. But this is 2-3 months down the road. I still haven't made any money. What happened to the get rich? It's not. It just doesn't. It's like taking a circle and a square and trying to put it together. It just don't work that way. If you go into this business with the vision that you're going to put in some hard work, that you have a plan, and that plan is not going to be a quick plan. It's not a quick get rich scheme plan or whatever it's called. I hear people say. For me, I have a 5-year plan. I have a 5-year plan that my finances, my world as I know it will be from this side, as I always say, on the other side of the railroad track where the rest of the people that are successful. I have 5 years to get there. And my trial and error has been already a year. It's been a year in trial and error. It's just that I threw in the kitchen sink. I did, what most people don't do in anything, not just real estate, is they start something and they run into a wall, and that's where most people throw the towel in. Mike Tyson says this in his day: everybody has a plan until you get hit. That's what most people throw in the towel and say, this is not for me. I can't do this. It's so easy to find excuses. But if you don't go into this with a long-term plan, long-term view, that I'm going to, maybe in 6 months, I at least want to know how to negotiate. I want to know how to have me a good buyer's list. And it may not, some people it may be 3 months. Some people it may be a year. Some people it may never come, because this real estate is not for everybody. If you don't have in you, in a little bit of street don't hurt. It don't hurt. A little bit know how to negotiate. Then this may not be for you. But you got to have long-term goals, like your job or your school. And to be educated to get a diploma, it takes you 12 years in the school system in America. You didn't just get it overnight. Same thing with this. I'm not saying it's going to take 12 years by far, but I would have a goal. Say to yourself, within 6 months, I like to have made some money, but with anything, I want to be able to have knowledge so that the next 6 months, I can really get into it. And that's with any course or any guru or any classroom you go into. Whatever they're saying, believe me, the person on the stage, if they're not stumbling, they're one of two things. Either they're a con artist or they've been doing this for quite some time. So you need to, practice makes perfect. Don't come into this or go into real estate thinking tomorrow everything's going to be different. because you're a real estate investor now and everything's good. That's my title now. You're going to have to put your work in. You're going to have to put your work in, or you'll be one of the 99%. You'll fall into that 99% group been there, done that, tried that, didn't work for me. Back to what you were doing. Looking for, trying to sell stamps and collecting gold coins and silver and trading that and, stock market, all that. Real estate will work, but you got to put the time in and the effort and the sacrifice.
So your recommendation is, this is a business that you can make money.
Absolutely.
This is a business that you can get rich in.
Living proof.
But it's a business. So there's a foundation.
Absolutely.
Then you got to build the building. Then you get the roof on top. And then you dress it up. And make
This is not the lottery. You don't play the number and tomorrow everything changes. Like a good example, business. It just doesn't work that way. If it was that easy, guess what? Everybody would be doing it. So it's not that easy. You're going no matter what some CD tell you, or what book you read, you're going to run into something. Well, they didn't have this in the book. But yeah, trial and error. It's not overnight. Get rich. Get in knee deep. Be ready to grind and have yourself a long-term plan. Long-term plan, and don't get into this depending on this to pay your bills next month. Big mistake a lot of people make. Oh, I'm gonna be here, and I'm start real estate today. They're looking at new cars and new houses that next weekend, because where they gonna move, and it doesn't when disappointment comes down the pipeline, then real estate's the worst thing since mankind. That real estate game ain't, everybody, a bunch of scams and this, and it is, but you came into it with the wrong perception in the first place. Look to learn, look to put either money out or put out a lot of time, or both. If you don't have that much money, look to put more time, like I did. I didn't have nickels and dimes. Enough to go get what was it, 9 cents for the flyer, black and white. Got going to the Staples and act like something wrong with the machine so you can get a few free copies. I didn't have the money. So that's what you have to do. And get out and not expect. If some money comes through, great. But don't depend on it. The kids got to eat. Your lights got to be paid by Thursday, by the 17th of the month, and here we are on the 27th of the month prior. And you think you're going to have a deal that's going to bring the light bill current, you're going to be okay. No, you get you some candles, because that's where you're headed at. That's the statistics are. That's where you're going to be headed at. So, not overnight get rich by far. Have a plan.
You had a tremendous year.
Yes.
It sounds like you've had some interesting experiences before that. Tell us about your investment ventures before this fantastic year.
Okay, prior to this year, I have been a business owner. What I have, my experience, the experiences that I have in real estate are, what is this? This is 2013. So I want to say I was introduced, kind of started leaning towards real estate back in 2005. So it's been a while. Did I learn anything since then? It was a very, very bumpy road. It was a very bumpy road because I was presented with, I came in the way I described earlier. The only reason I turned to real estate was financial, the money. And I was told that, if I get into real estate, you'll be rich. You can go see wonders of the world. You can travel to exotic lands. You can overnight. You can make a few investments, and tomorrow I'll be in Hawaii. All my bills will be paid. But I was a younger guy then, so the only thing I was thinking about was I can get me a nice fancy Mercedes. I see these guys riding around in these nice cars, and real estate is the key. So I entertain it and save up a few dollars and buy this packet over the phone. Online, or this late night guy would come on the television when I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning of how I could change my life for 3 payments of $49.95. And I would break out the plastic and order it. And it came, and it'd be a book full of CDs of everything that he kind of already said on the television commercial, that, you know, if I follow his course, I can get rich.